Hey everyone, it's me again. So today, let's talk a little bit about the secrets documents leak that happened not so recently. And I waited for the whole thing to settle down to analyze documents myself, look into it, and see how the things evolve, so to say, with the person leaking the documents, and then just give my assessment of what I think of the whole situation, both what it means for the United States and allies and Ukraine. So first of all, let's talk about on the U.S. side. So what this leak did is it exposed that one of the best intelligence systems and army systems in the world needs improvement, because this is not something that any military or any intelligence would take lightly. And even the way how it was leaked is just like extremely weird. Imagine if being a person, you signed an NDA, you working on the secret documentation, and just leaked it like in Discord for your friends. It sounds just like out of the order. It sounds like so stupid, so immature, so out of I can't even describe how stupid it is and what the person should think to do that, especially because even if you don't have access to such documentation or such information in the military, you already have like a really big list of things you're not allowed to say or expose. And there is sanctions for that, like a really really heavy sanctions. So, but it's probably just one of the things that pretty common in this age, where some people who should not have access to certain things have, and things like that just happen. So I'm pretty sure that United States will not take this lightly, that they will improve all the mechanism, and I've heard they already doing it on multiple levels, like in the military, in the intelligence, and other institutions. And on the other hand, what this thing exposed is that things have changed so much that if you think about OSN IT and the impact that it gives, you can see clearly that even these documents, a lot of things like intelligence may rely on things like that. So the landscape of how those institutions perform, how they do their work is changing, and there are a lot of more people like out there who can just like gather, analyze information, and put something out of it, just like by predicting and working with this type of things. So in general, we can also see how the intelligent landscape is basically like changing, and what it can evolve to, how it can revolve around some other people and researchers, how they can include those people and researchers as well as their information in their report. So this is pretty much what it means for us. It's pretty bad. It's really bad. It exposed a thing, but it's in general it's good that this thing was exposed, because it means that there will be a lot of changes and a lot of improvements. Now let's get into what it means for Ukraine and like what the documents actually. I'll just talk about that in general. I'm pretty sure you have seen it, you've looked into it, and I'll just even won't get into the numbers and information. I'll just generally cover what's my thoughts on that and what's happening. In general, it's kind of bad, but not as bad as you may think. It's not like groundbreaking, like something really really bad, because if you think about it, like both intelligence systems, they work in and they get in these types of information. They may have had the chunks of this information, they maybe have had already like the full information, no one actually knows. But the thing is, anyway, everything adapts and changes, and what it mostly means is just that we'll adapt and do some adjustments, will change in the directions where we think that the enemy will predict this and that, and they probably will use this and that to counter that. So, um, on the scale of like, I don't know, 1 to 10, how bad it is, I would probably put it around like 4 or 5 at max. It's not something that like totally just breaks everything, and it doesn't mean like a lot of danger incoming in this regard of understanding what this information means, because still a lot of it you could gather on like so-called open sources. You can like get it from the news, the amounts of help, how like many soldiers training and stuff like that. And plus it's also really really generalized. It's not something that it it seems like it gets into the details, but believe me, it's not getting into the details. It's just a general picture which you would probably could just assemble yourself and have a speculation on the topic, and it wouldn't be like too far off of the numbers and things. But at the same time, you can't rely on it, and you can't like fully believe it in that regard. So, and as I mentioned, everyone will adapt to that, and no matter what, even on the battlefield, when we like working, we're always thinking about like the enemy knows what we're doing. We're like thinking in the mindset that they know what we are doing, they know what we'll try to do. So we kind of like prepare ourselves for the worst scenario possible, and then we just go off of that. So that's not a big of a deal for Ukraine. In general, you've already like saw probably most of that information. How accurate it is, I also can only just speculate, as well as everyone else, and it's so generalized, it's so lucid. But the fact that such secret documents were leaked is just like a really really bad thing in general. But nothing will change for us. We still will win. We'll crush our enemies, and glory to Ukraine.